knows, my name is Curtis Flakes, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about pulleys. But before we get started, we have a special guest that I want to introduce you guys to, and he's to the right of me.
Hi, my name is Curtis, and I just graduated 5th grade, and I'll be attending 6th grade at Dedrick Middle School.
Awesome. And if you didn't catch that, his name is Curtis, and this is my son, so I'm excited to be here with him today. So, let's get into it. So when we're talking about pulleys, there's 5 different types of pulleys. You have a fixed pulley, a movable pulley, a compound pulley, a block and tackle pulley, and a cone pulley. Today, we're going to talk about the 2 most utilized pulleys that we use in society today. That is the fixed pulley and the movable pulley. First, let's talk about the fixed pulley. The fixed pulley is a pulley that is stationary. It is set in place and is connected to a ceiling or the floor. An example of a fixed pulley will be something like a flagpole that you see in front of your schools, the hospitals, or any other type of businesses. That's a fixed pulley. So let's get to the activity and show you. But before we do that, the items that you'll need, some of these items you can find in your house or you can get them at the dollar store somewhere that's inexpensive, is we have a pulley, a jar, we'll be using 17 marbles, a pulley cord, a spring scale, and a doorknob. All right, before we get started with the pulley, the first thing we want to do is measure how much force is needed with 17 marbles in a jar to lift it up. So what Curtis is going to do is he's going to take our spring scale, place it around the loop that's on the jar, and raise it up and get a measurement of how many grams of force it's taking.
75.
So we're at 75 grams of force that is utilized to pull this 17 marble jar from the table. All right, so the first thing we're going to do here with Curtis is he's going to take the string and he's going to tie it to the top end of the pulley system. Now that the cord is to the top of the pulley system, he's going to tie one end of the string to the jar of marbles. It's perfect. We're going to place the jar of marbles on the ground, and with the opposite end, he's going to tie the other end to our spring scale. Awesome. Now we have both ends tied, one to the jar with the 17 marbles and one to our spring scale. So now what we're going to do is figure out how many grams of force is needed to lift this jar of 17 marbles off the ground. So what Curtis is going to do is off to the right to the side, he's going to pull down at an angle, lifting the jar about 12 inches off the ground. And he's going to give us a measurement of how much force is needed to lift this.
60 grams.
All right. So it takes 60 grams of force to lift this jar of 17 marbles off the ground. All right, so now we're moving to the movable pulley. We just completed working with the fixed pulley. The movable pulley is the pulley that we discussed earlier that's used on, let's say, things like an elevator, right? It's not stationary and it can go up and down. The difference between the movable pulley and the fixed pulley is the movable pulley cord is wrapped underneath the pulley. Whereas in a fixed pulley, it's over the top. So now we have the cord wrapped underneath. What we're going to have Curtis do is take his spring scale and attach it to the opposite end of the rope. Remember, movable pulleys are used when objects are heavier and they're beneath you and you have to lift them up. So we're going to use that concept here by attaching our jar of 17 marbles to the bottom of the pulley. Now that it's attached to the pulley, Curtis is going to sit it on the ground first, here, close to the ground, and he's going to pull up and see how much force is needed to lift this jar of 17 marbles off the ground. Curtis, how much force is needed?
50 grams.
50 grams of force is needed to lift the jar of 17 marbles off the ground. In conclusion, we have our numbers. Without using a pulley and just using your hands or just our spring scale to pick up the jar of 17 marbles, it takes 75 grams of force to lift the jar of marbles off the table. Using our fixed pulley system, which is one of the most popular systems, it takes 60 grams of force to lift the jar of marbles off the floor. And in the most utilized pulley system, which is the movable, it takes only 50 grams of force to lift a jar of 17 marbles off the ground, therefore proving the point of the movable pulley system being the most utilized system across the world. Thanks for joining us today.